Oh man, so Bitcoin is sitting at 50,000 US dollars, and it's a moment of celebration for a lot of people who held through some of those lows in Bitcoin recently. But where are we headed to next? Let's take a look at the charts. So we can see here right now, as we're speaking, Bitcoin is sitting at $50,068. Those $68 count. But how long are we going to be sat here for? So let's take a look at the charts. And you can see let's get my drawings back. So you can see my messy drawings here, but we've just heading up to this 50,000 psychological level. We broke out of this downward wedge. We've got our upper target of 54,000. The top of the wedge, which is our first target, is 52,800. And we're well onto the way to achieving that from this breakout. However, we know that the 50,000 level mark is a level of resistance. Let me head over to the hourly, and you should be able to see this more clearly. We cannot assume that we're going to break this at the first time. If we do, that's fantastic, but we've got to be cautious because this is a psychological level and it can have a lot of selling pressure. A lot of people will be having their sell orders at the top. People will be taking profits from trades. People who have been holding since 28, 30K will be selling some just to diversify some of their risk. You also have your short sellers at that point as well. So we've got to be cautious, and we can't just assume we're going to go straight through this at the first time. And I always prepare you guys to be cautious rather than sorry. So if we do, we need to be prepared for a fall back down to the 47,850 mark, which we just struggled to break through. I mean, we did do well that we didn't get rejected from that level and we broke straight through. But we want to see if we do come down, we want to see strong volume pushing us back to 50. And it may take one or two attempts to break the 50 mark, okay? And we may even get a bit of a calling off. I mean, if not at the 47,850 mark, you can even see 46,317, which would test this EMA line as well. Okay, so not to be the bearer of gloom in a moment of excitement, but I have to mention that first and foremost. Now, to the upside, what is exciting is if I just zoom to the 4-hourly charts, you can see that we are now solidly bullish on this EMA ribbon, right? We've got this massive breakout and we're very well extended away from this EMA ribbon, heading towards this 50,000 where we're sitting on it right now. But we want a clean 4-hour candle above this ribbon, right? That's always what I count for. These wicks with just wick above, that counts as a rejection, right? Because the price within that 4-hour candle went, touched, and got rejected back, right? Went again in the next 4-hourly candle, got rejected back. And if I show you again on the hour, you can see what I mean when we zoom out onto the hour. You can see that we went to touch it, sent back, went to touch it, red candle, went to touch it again. You can see very clearly there that we're not getting through that level. We've not got a clean candle above. When we get a clean candle above, then you can say the 50,000 level is broken, okay? Let's come back out to the 4-hourly. And just to zoom back out again, just to remind us that we're heading for breaking this 50,000. And then the next level is the top of the wedge, which if I show you here, you can see just there at the top of the wedge is your 52,800 mark. Okay, so 52,800 mark, and then you can head higher to the 54,000. But we got to get through this 52,000 mark first. Now, more interestingly, so that's what's happening on a short term. Let's hope we can break through this 50,000 mark and head towards 52,800 and then build from there. But from a longer term perspective, which is what I'm interested in because I don't really trade my Bitcoin, I want to sit on it for a long time and not give any of it away, is let's take away these drawings. Let's just keep the EMA ribbon. Now, what I want to look at is the fact that we've now flipped this EMA ribbon back to bullish, okay? So for a long time, we were bearish here. We flipped bullish, had a good extended run. And just to remind ourselves, once we flipped bullish here to the peak, you had a 47% pump, okay, from when we flipped. Now, if you were to assume the same from when we break here, a 47% pump takes you to about, one second, let's do it there. That's going to take you to 67,000 Bitcoin, okay? So that's going to take you to a 67,000 Bitcoin with a 47% pump from here, okay? Now, not to say that's necessarily going to happen, but one pattern you can see is whenever we flip this daily EMA ribbon, it's very powerful, and you get strong reversals and pumps to the upside, okay? Big pump down, flip, big pump up. Pump down, can we get another tendency up? Let's go back in history and let's take a look. Other times we've managed to flip. Let's see if we can zoom out. And you can see here when we flipped, so bearish, flipped, you had this massive run up. And then if you see here, flip, pump up, flip, pump up, and that's what we want to see again. Okay, so we've had that come down, we now head up, and this is a very powerful movement in Bitcoin price. Whenever we manage to flip, let's see if I can go back here, so bearish, and then you have another pump up. Let's take a look at this, and you can see that pump there was about 40% as well, roughly. Okay, and if I go and see what else we've got, let's head back into, now we're in 2019, going back to 2019 when we got this pump out. We flipped the EMA ribbons here, and then from here you had your run up all the way there to a 13,000 Bitcoin from a 4,000 Bitcoin. That's nearly a 3x there on your Bitcoin, 2.5x roughly there when we flipped. So we always know that every time we flip this EMA ribbon, we're very likely to get a good pump to the upside. Even if it's short-lived, it can be a strong, powerful movement because of the mechanism of flipping that EMA ribbon. So there we have it. If I flip back to our normal time range, so that's exactly what we're expecting from Bitcoin. We've got a flip on this daily on the EMA ribbon. We're well above the EMA ribbon now for 3 candles. Can we now get a strong pump to the upside? It's going to depend on breaking this 50,000 mark and then breaking the 52,800 mark. But then after that, there's a clear run to 59,000. Okay, so that's what I'm looking to do, is really fill this green space here and get Bitcoin stretching its legs again to build some new all-time highs. But first, we've got to take it step by step. Let's get through this 50,000 mark. Don't be surprised if you get a small rejection back down to build momentum to head higher. We need to create a higher low in that instance, and then we can push higher there on in. You'll also perhaps get a head and shoulder. If we get rejected at this level, you could even have a head and shoulders pattern formulating here with your neckline with this high and this high if we get rejected, right? So if that price falls down, you could potentially have a head and shoulders pattern with 1 head and then 2 shoulders, which is what I mentioned with these lines here. Okay, so let's see how that plays out over the next few hours. Very interesting time for Bitcoin, and definitely not a time to be panicking or worried, right? We were at a time when Bitcoin was at 28, in the low 30s, 36, and now Bitcoin is back up at 50,000 US dollars. So now the only people left who will be worried about Bitcoin right now are those who kind of entered in right at the peak at $60,000. But even for those guys, I wouldn't be concerned. You had a good opportunity to, reduce your cost basis, but assuming you weren't able to do that, or you were scared, or you didn't have any cash, and you're still sat with a $60,000 cost basis on Bitcoin, I wouldn't be too worried. I think a good pump right now, break through the 50,000 mark. We could be testing that $60,000 mark soon. And then everybody who's bought Bitcoin ever should be at least break even, if not super up on their cryptos. So happy days for Bitcoin. Let's see where we head over to here. In the bearish case, like I said, we could be getting rejected and maybe creating a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. In the bullish case, let's break straight through this $50,000 mark. I'm leaning towards a bit of a little correction down because it's difficult to break the $50,000 mark so quickly on your first attempt out of this wedge. So I won't be surprised if we have a couple of attempts at it. But either way, we should be breaking through $50,000 very soon. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you want more TA on Bitcoin or any particular coin, please don't forget to hit the like button and let me know which coin you want me to analyze. And I will see you in the next one.